Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us today. So this webinar is going to be about incorporating an insect growth regulator to your pest management strategy. So why I think IGRs are so important is because it kind of beats the pests to the punch before they start getting really bad if you treat your plants on a regular basis. So to start off, just a little bit of background about ArborJet. We have a broad range of professional market. We're a smaller company, but we have a big reach. We have coverage all over the country, so anytime you need one of our helps, we always have professionals and specialists to help you anytime you need. So I just was hired on this past March, so I'm newer to the field, but I have been working to get more in depth into our horticulture side. So start off, why is plant health care important? So plant health care is important because we don't want to stress out our plants. We always want our plants to look the absolute best they can be, especially if you're a nursery selling them, or that's how you make your money. Just like we take our daily vitamins, eat the right foods and extracts to stay healthy, we need our plants to do about the same as well, just in their way. Plant health care is core to help the plants thrive. The environment, pests, diseases, and weather can all stress out a plant, causing it not to look its best or even to die. When dealing with these pests and diseases, it's best to diagnose the problem right away and treat it. But for better prepare for the plant stress before huge problems occur, we want to be prepared for it. Stressed out plants are more susceptible to pests and diseases, so it's best to give them the best treatment and incorporate IGRs when needed. So this next slide right here, this is some pretty bad damage from common pests and even diseases. So one of the most common diseases is powdery mildew. It is a fungal disease, usually common in gardens and affecting a wide variety of plants, reducing the quality and quantity of flowers and fruit. There are many different species of powdery mildew, and each species attacks a wide range of plants. So this one's pretty bad, but very easy to treat and prevent as well. The next one below it is very bad spider mite damage. So spider mites are a little tricky because they can affect your plant but before you even see them. So it's always best to scout your plants just by looking at them every day if possible. But if you're running a bigger location or a bigger growing area, you don't really have time to look at each individual plant. So this one is very severe, but at first spider mite damage might just appear as yellow or brown spots on the leaves of the plant. If the plant is badly infested, the plant's health will suffer by possibly developing leaves that are completely yellow or may even stop growing altogether. Spider mite damage can also cause this type of webbing like you see in the picture. So these guys are just little arachnids. They are related to spiders, but they're super, super small. So that's why it's kind of hard to tell to see if you have them unless you start getting damage from them. So they produce these type of webs in order to protect themselves on the plants and their eggs. So whenever you see that, you know they're reproducing at that time. And then the middle picture you see here is root aphids. So aphids is a very common pest as well. You can see them on the leaves, all part of the plant. So now even the root. They look super similar to the other aphids you see on top of the plant above ground. They can be identified by their tiny and they're almost translucent bodies. These pests use their mouths to feed on the roots of the plant. So they basically are kind of mosquitoes, but for plants. They suck up all the nutrients from the plant, not letting it be able to feed itself, causing the plants to turn yellow from the top. So aphids eat the nutrients the plant needs and basically starves it. Colonies of root aphids will also often establish just below the soil level. So you see in this picture, one of our employees actually took this picture of her squash plant. She saw how bad the root aphid damage is. And then if you see the little white galls, they're kind of a waxy feel. Whenever you remove an infected plant, this is what usually is left in the root system from root aphid damage. So they cause these galls on the plant roots. And then the next one, very common pest in the South, is the Japanese beetles. This is an invasive species. These pests are they affect hundreds of different kinds of plants. So really common and really hard to take care of once you get them. They're one of the major insects in the eastern and midwestern United States, causing monumental damage to crops each year. Japanese beetles can devour most of the foliage on favored plants as well as flowers. So whenever they are feeding, like you see in these pictures, they kind of skeletonize the leaves. So they'll just leave basically the veins of the leaf. So you won't be able to absorb sunlight since all the foliage is gone. And even the grubs from Japanese beetles, whenever they don't cause damage to like leaves and everything like the adults do, but they can cause damage to grasses. So they can even leave brown spots in your yard and everything like that by eating the grass roots at the bottom. So the next slide. So talks about insect growth regulators. So insect growth regulators are insecticides or compounds generally disrupt the molting process or modify growth and development of insect pests and some mites. They don't directly kill, so they're much easier to on the plants than whenever working with it as well. They don't, sorry about that. But they interfere with the normal mechanism of development. So some can even paralyze the bug's mouth, causing it unable to feed, and so they're basically starved. So it's not an instant kill. IGRs typically kill pests and insects in 3 to 10 days whenever you apply it. However, the specific insect growth regulator that target insect pests in life stage may affect all the time required to kill insect pests. IGRs tend to reduce insect pest populations over time, just not immediately. So the next one, this is whenever we start discussing neem oil products. This is a really popular kind of ingredient to use in these kind of IGRs. So neem oil is a dual-purpose ingredient popular in insecticides and fungicides, so it does a dual purpose. It naturally occurs in the seeds from the neem tree, which you see in this picture right here. Neem oil is a mixture of components, but the most important when it comes to creating an insecticide, fungicide product is azadirachtin, which I'll be discussing in our products later on in this presentation. It's the most active component usually. The seeds contain the active ingredient azadirachtin, which is a proven natural anti-feedant, growth regulator, anti-positivator, and insect repellent. So you're probably wondering about the environmental effects. So the good thing about neem oil products is they're basically non-toxic to bees, animals, and birds, because we always want to save our bees, so we want to make sure it's harsh only to the pest. So it must be consumed to harm. So since bees do not consume the plant, usually the only things eating it may get a little bit harm. So human risk, there isn't much. There was a rat study done with long-term exposure to azadirachtin, but much was not common since it is more of the gentler side. Studies show that neem oil did not alter or damage in the genes. In laboratory tests, animals were fed neem oil for 90 days. They did not have increased cancer rates. There has been a study for long-term exposure with rats, but no effects have been reported with them. They were either fed it directly or clarified hydrophobic neem oil throughout their whole lives. So that's the good thing about it. Most of the products that you see out there in the stores and everything is oil-based neem oil. So that is basically what it is, but some downfalls with looking at oil-based products. So whenever you apply it, maybe by spray, using that in the spray equipment over time can cause it to clog. Just kind of a pain to work with because you have to pick it apart, clean it, make sure everything's good. And then also, if the oil stays onto the plant too long or there's too much applied, it can cause foliage burn by sticking to the plant and then kind of absorbing extra sunlight and causing foliage burn. And then whenever foliage burns, the plant's unable to photosynthesize and then unable to be completely healthy, causing stress, and then everything goes down from there. So that is why ArborJet wanted to be different and create a product called AzaSol. So this is a water-soluble neem product. Right here you can see all the sites that come with it, and it's also even OMRI listed for organic use. So with AzaSol, what's different is that it's actually water-soluble. It's not oil-based. AzaSol does not contain neem oil, neem bitters, and does not affect taste, aroma, or color. It doesn't leave a residue, significant odor, or sticky mess on plants. It works great on bugs, such as mites, aphids, root aphids, thrips, fungus gnats, caterpillars, and beetles. After ingesting AzaSol, an insect cannot feed because they feel full all the time. The insects cannot shed their skin to molt, and they cannot form pupae. Ultimately, the insects end up becoming paralyzed and dying. After feeding on a plant that has been treated with AzaSol, a female cannot lay her eggs, so that's great. They won't be able to reproduce, so you don't have to worry about that. Because of the way AzaSol works, insects don't gain resistance. AzaSol is a growth inhibitor and reproductive inhibitor, and it works to interrupt an insect's brain and neurotransmitters. And that was a lot, but basically it's an amazing product and very gentle too, since it's unrealistic. If insects do make it to adulthood, they're going to be basically super messed up and not able to do much harm to the plant. So the difference between AzaSol you see right here in the vials, AzaSol, whenever it's completely powdered, you see to the top left, and then a neem oil product. And then mixed with water, you can see it's completely see-through and transparent, so very equipment useful friendly. So you won't have to worry about clogging your equipment whenever you're using it. And then we also have an AzaSol patent process, which you see to the left. So we are very picky when it comes to making this product, because we want to make sure it is the best so it can be. So you can see right here. And then compared to the neem oil at the bottom, you see whenever it's mixed, it becomes some kind of milky substance, and that's what usually causes clogging and then burning on your foliage too whenever it sticks too long and too much to the plant. And right here, we had someone use AzaSol on their orchids. It was used in Colorado, and basically his main takeaway was whenever he used it was there's no odor, so you don't have to worry about the terrible odor when applying some of these insecticides, fungicides, or anything like that. No petal burns, so you can see the orchids came out beautifully. And best of all, no threats, so we took care of his problem for him with AzaSol. He said he became a believer. So I am very happy to see that this came so well for him on his orchids. And right here, just some of the main points of AzaSol. So the main point is it is non-oil based. So you can compare that to some of the other products, and it also has the highest concentration of azadirachtin product in the market, which is amazing. That's 6%. It's completely water-soluble powder, just like you saw in the past slide. You can be used as translaminar and systemic, and even trunk injections in trees. Works as an IGR, just like we've been talking about the whole time. And what's also really great about it is there's no limit to days before harvest. You can even apply it the day of and harvest the same day. Compared to some other products, you always have to have that re-entry time and worry about that. And another great takeaway is it will not block photosynthesis. No staining or burning of the leaves. No burning even under grow lights, which is great usually for hemp growers when growing inside, or even nurseries that are inside that are under grow lights. OMRI listed and organic certified. Right here, we did a small trial just in a petri dish. We treated one pair of leaves compared to the other, and you can see the huge difference between how much insect pest damage between the untreated and treated with AzaSol. This is another trial that was done with the hemlock lily adelgid. So this one right here, we compared AzaSol to permethrin. So that's another active ingredient. But what's kind of not as good as AzaSol when you look to it and compare the two products, it's not really as friendly to bees, so it's more harmful to them. And then it's also not ideal for food crops, since it is a little bit more powerful. AzaSol is a more gentle way to do it, and you can see the huge difference between the treated and untreated plants that came with this. And we also did a trial on hornworm on tomatoes. So compared to the year 1 before it was treated and the year 2, huge difference as well when we see the mean number compared to the total. Right here is just more AzaSol used out in the field. So our AzaSol comes in different packages, and it's also shipping friendly as well. Since it is a powder, it won't be a heavy product to ship. So it's always better to do that as well. The available sizes come in a 0.25 ounce container, single packet of 0.7 ounces, 6 ounce container that has 8 packets of 0.75 ounces each. And then we also even have a 2-pound container for someone that needs to apply to a bunch of plants at one time or a huge area. And right here, you can just see how simple it is to mix. We just use, for a low rate mix, we want to do 1 teaspoon per 1 gallon of water, and that covers 1,000 square feet. And if you're looking for a more higher rate, to say you do have already some bad insect damage and have a good amount to treat with or to deal with, for a high rate, you want to do 6 ounces per 50 gallons, and that will of water, and that will cover an acre. And you can see right here, just simply mix it to right here to the left. Of course, always use proper PPE. That's just handling any type of insecticide, fungicide, IGR. And then we just put it right here and we sprayed it directly onto a foliar spray to these grapes. So like Zach said, I'm a horticulture sales representative, not up there to manager yet, but getting there one day hopefully. And then so you can reach me by my cell if you do have any questions regarding to AzaSol, or if you have any right now, and of course my email. So that picture right here, just a little bit of background more about me. I went to Appalachian State University, like Zach said. I worked on the Sustainable Development Farm, which is the two pictures to the left, for a year. So I have more food crop background at first, and then I applied for an internship with Walt Disney World Company at Epcot, Living with the Land, and I worked with hydroponic greenhouses, as you see to the very right. We did a bunch of work there. We also did IGRs, everything you think of, and even parasitic wasps we used a lot there. So I have a good background on a little bit of everything right now. And right here's some more of my info, but does anyone have any questions at the moment that I can help to answer?
I'm coming. There we go. So thank you, Hayden. Thank you. Insect Growth Regulators is pretty neat. I never really knew about them when I was out in the field. It was not really something we did. It was just kill them or not kill them. Sprayed way too much bifenthrin in my day. But no questions came in during there, but if anyone can think of anything, don't hesitate to email or give Hayden a call. If you want to call her directly, definitely use that 919 number. The 781 numbers get you to the office, and then we'd end up just giving you the 919 number. But that is her direct email as well. All right, so we got one that came in. So Daniel's asking, what is the best piece of application equipment to use for AzaSol?
I think it really depends on what kind of pest or fungus you're treating and what plant. So it just depends on the situation. If you would like, you can email me exactly if you're having a direct problem with a certain pest or certain plant. I'll be happy to talk to you about that more in depth.
Yeah, the other really neat thing about AzaSol and it being a water-soluble powder is that you can apply it with just about any type of piece of equipment out on the market, whether it's a spray or, as ArborJet's more known for, tree injection. You can soil drench it, especially if you're using pots. It even runs through a fumigator. So, and that's whether it's a hot or cold fumigator. So if you want to basically vaporize your water solution, you'll still get efficacy, and with that you'll get both top leaf and underleaf coverage pretty easily. So we've never been told it didn't work with a piece of equipment. We have had people use it with everything out there. We tested it with everything on the market. So it really just depends on, like Hayden said, what type of insect you're going for, whether it's something that's going to go after your roots or after your shoots or your leaf tissue.
And it's also great, AzaSol is also fantastic for commercial use, just like nurseries, and then also great for homeowners as well. It's such an easy mix to do. And then all you have to do is just apply it to your plants, just an easy mix and apply. So it's also sold in garden centers as well.
Anyone else? No. That seems to be it right now. But again, don't forget, we'll leave this slide up for a little bit, just so you can. Anyone can get Hayden's contact info down. You can also find it at arborjet.com under a couple places, whether it's contact us or you go look for the different sales people underneath the About Us section. One of those two places will get you to the phone number and email address of Hayden or anyone else in the company. We do have our own R&D staff, so If there's a question that gets a little bit too technical for Hayden or myself, whether it's mode of action or you're looking for some of the research, we do a lot of it in-house. So, and we can always share some of that with you. So feel free to reach out for any of that. But as for that, Hayden, thank you. Very nice job.
Thank you.
And you got another webinar coming up, what, next week? 2 weeks?
No, one next week and then one October 1st.
Okay, there we go. So everyone here, thanks for coming. Check out all the upcoming webinars at arborjet.com. It's kind of our month of webinars again. So feel free to chime back in, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time.
Thank you all.